We're going to show you how to get the VOXL hooked up to QGroundControl, and it's really, we're connecting the flight core portion of the system, which is running PX4 through VOXL to QGroundControl. We're going to start off in this demo. I have the what we call the split solution, and it's a VOXL DK and a flight core DK right here. And we have this as a combo board solution, which in many ways is just like that, a single board, but it's kind of nice to show it in a split form for this demo. For this, we're going to use a serial cable to connect the two. Comes in the kit. It's an M cable 7, and I'm gonna power these guys up using a split cable, and that looks like this. And it is the M cable 11, which I'll show you hook that up. And again, this can be replaced with our combo board solution, which is a VOXL flight. So the part number is the VOXL F-DK, and you only need a single power cable instead of the Y. It looks kind of like that, but I'll put that off to the side. Included in the VOXL DK and VOXL Flight development kits, we get a power module. This is a kind of an older version, but it shows what we need. It's the power module V2. You get Wi-Fi antennas. We're going to be connecting over Wi-Fi today as one of the options. And as an example, to connect to the PX4 firmware through the flight core, we could use USB, and we have a little nice micro USB female to 4-pin JST, which we could use. I also have a micro USB cable here, which we're going to use to show you how to connect to the VOXL, the shell through ADB, and then I have our power supply. It's a kind of high amperage 5-volt output power supply. This MPS001. The power module is the MCCA M0009, and it's a power module V2. And here's some part numbers for the different JST to USB cables. Okay, enough talking about the parts. Up top right here is kind of the system at hand. We are, in this case, we have a VOXL board, which is this one over here, and the flight core, little house looking board. I call it the house board, I guess, from this angle. There's a little house. We're going to connect the two through a serial port, and it's J1 on the flight core and J12 on the VOXL. On the combo board solution, that's actually in the traces. There's no cable. It's inside the board, so there's no wiring to hook up. But behind the scenes, it's using the same, you could call it serial port. And from PX4, we're using telemetry 3. And that's routed to J1, and we're using a baud rate of this 92.1K, 921.6K, sorry. And that is the default baud to communicate with the VOXL. And the kind of the heavy hitter here is on VOXL is this service, VOXL Vision PX4. And it does a lot of things for us, especially on the vision side. Today, we're really just looking at it in a way to be a router almost, to get the telemetry data from PX4 through VOXL over to QGroundControl over UDP. Enough talking. Let's do a little demo. Get some of this off to the side. So in the development kit, you get 2 Wi-Fi antennas. You get these off DigiKey if you want. Our part numbers are on the website. It clicks in on the Wi-Fi chip. There's 2 these little UFL connectors here, so I'm just going to clip it in. And either one for this is fine. Clipped in. Then we have the power module. This one is a 4-pin Molex connector. We're going to plug into here. And this is I'm using a wide cable, which allows us to power both the flight core and the VOXL. So I'm going to plug the other side, the Molex side, into the VOXL. and grab the serial cable, and it's symmetrical. It comes in the flight core development kit. These little 6-pin, I call them Hiroshi or Hyros, 3-wire. So I'm going to plug it into the front port, which is J12. And then on the flight core, there's a J1, which is a 6-pin mating connector there. So we'll plug it into there. Clips in. Okay, so then the other power cable is from the power module. Splits off, and it's a 6-pin JST connector with 4 wires going to it, and it's basically power and I2C line. So we get, it's kind of our smart power monitoring. We can monitor the actual battery voltage and current, and the 5-volt regulated voltage coming out, and the current. So to the companion computer or the VOXL, and I guess the flight core. So this guy plugs into on the standalone solution, I think it's J6. We call it the expansion port right there, and that's kind of the hardware connection. Little wiry there, but you get the drift. And what's cool is in our combo board solution, this is mated up into one. So then you get rid of all these cables except one power cable, which is the 4-pin. So that's a nice thing about the combo board. So on boot up from the factory, the VOXL is set up into an access point mode. So I'm going to plug this guy in. The flight core boots up pretty bright green, and it starts flashing solid green with flashing blue, and it's a little bright for this camera, it seems. I'm gonna, that'll be okay. This guy's up, so let me go see. We should come up and get a. There you go. So we have an access point here. It's VOXL, and then the MAC address of the hardware, and we could try to connect to that. By default, the password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Join that. Well, that's connecting up. I have a QGroundControl 4. You can use like 3, 5, 6, but here's 4. It's running up on my other screen. Okay, so we are connected, and it'll give an address out to this laptop. I could click on this, and so it served me up an address of 8.51. So we want to remember that for a little bit later. So we'll just go 192.168.8.51 is my ground control station's IAP address. Oops, I already had it written up there. So that's where this is. So let's just I'm gonna SSH in. Well, one thing first, if we have problems with Wi-Fi, if you're not seeing it for some reason, we can ADB over. So using just a micro USB cable on the VOXL, there is, I think this is like the USB 3 connector, but you could plug the micro USB into the slot that it fits right there. So even though it's not using the full port, that's fine. So I'm connected over to my Mac. My Mac has the Android debug tools installed, or the ADB tools. So I could go ADB into ADB shell. So now I'm in on the VOXL. Can I clear? Yeah. So if I do like who am I, uname. So oops. So this is the APQ, which is the VOXL. So I'm on target. If we have problems with Wi-Fi, if it's not showing up, we have some utilities on here. So if I go VOXL dash or tab, you'll see kind of our this is a current list of different utilities on target. The one we want, if we're messing around with Wi-Fi, would be VOXL-Wi-Fi, and here you can set it up into a soft AP, which we have. In this particular case, the AP name is VOXL with the MAC address. You could also connect it to a Wi-Fi router. So if I'm at home, which I am right now, I could connect it to my home router, give it the password, and then it can connect up. And then my DHCP server will give the VOXL its own IAP address, and then we would use that IP address later on in the steps, which we're going to follow through here. But in this case, I have my laptop hooked up to the VOXL. The VOXL is in the access point mode, and it's given me an address of 8.51. So I'm going to exit out of there just for the fun of it. SSH over. SSH root at 192.168.8.1. Oh, I've already connected this guy, so I'm going to do SSH keygen-r 192.168.8.1. That's just a little cleanup, because I've previously connected to him. So now I'm going to go back and SSH over. The default root password is OE Linux for Open Embedded Linux 123. So that's OE Linux 123. So now I'm SSH'd in. So you can imagine I'm on this laptop. I SSH'd over to the VOXL, and I'm on this operating system over here. And so where the magic happens to get flight core communicating through to QGroundControl is through this VOXL Vision PX4 service. There is a setup wizard that could be ran, or a configuration wizard. I call it a wizard. So we're going to run through that. It's actually a VOXL configure PX Vision PX4. So it allows you to walk up and set up a vehicle. If you have cameras, like our M500, when we go through this wizard, we'll select 3. In this case, I just have a standalone board, no cameras on this guy. So I'm going to do 8, no cameras. I am not going to put this in a vehicle right now, so we could just say a VOXL tray, and just say the 2.5 centimeter landing gear. For this demo, doesn't really matter. So now this is where it does matter. It says which IP address is your ground control station at. And again, we have QGroundControl running in the background. So I'm going to take this IP address, paste it in here, enter. Do I want to enable VIO? We're not really flying, so I'm going to put no. VOA, I'm going to say no, not really flying this guy for this demo. Do I want to enable offboard mode to fly in a figure 8? That's really cool, but for right now I'm not going to do that. No.
Manual flight mode.
Okay, so you just heard the QGroundControl robot start talking because it automatically connected up to QGroundControl. So I am now connected to our flight core through the VOXL to PX4 running on the flight core. So if I come into, say, the console, I can say version all. So here's our ModalAI FC V1. So V106 is the flight core. And that basically, we're communicating over Mavlink through UDP to the VOXL over port 14550. It gets into VOXL, and then the VOXL Vision PX4 service will then get this over UART to PX4, and we're going through the TLM3 instance at that baud rate. So if for troubleshooting, if for some reason if you've messed around with the settings on the flight core, you can connect over USB, which let me move this out of the way. If you needed to connect straight up to the flight core through USB, you could use one of the 2 cables we have. It's basically a 4-pin JST to USB, and you could go into port J3 on the new combo board. It's actually a blue port. We're going to make all of our USB ports blue in the future, but if you need to find the right connector, just go to the docks. But it's basically this J3, and then I could then take this micro USB cable and plug it in, and we could communicate over USB to the flight core if we can't get it going through Wi-Fi. But we are connected through Wi-Fi, so if you were to troubleshoot the actual connection, you'd go into parameters, and then Mavlink, and then I have a typo here. This should be Mav Telem2. My bad. And we have Telem2 normal mode, and that's this Mav1 config, and this will get us over to the correct serial port. If I go down to serial, this Telem2 is this 921/600 baud, and this is mapped up to the J1 port of the VOXL flight, or the flight core. Sorry. And while we're at here, a little bonus is we are connected to our power module right here, and then so there's a command line util. If you go VOXL PM status, VOXL PM, I think it's status in the 1.11. This is 110, so it's VOXL PM info. And you can get, I don't have a battery hooked up, but you can see the regulated voltage coming out and the amperage. So that's it. Again, this demo was trying to get you from out of the box, which was taking a VOXL DK and a flight core DK out of the box, get it powered up, hook up the serial port, and then essentially connect over Wi-Fi, enable the VOXL Vision PX4 service, and simply entering an IP address, then got the communication channel between QGroundControl and PX4 going.